What's up, everybody? Welcome to this week's show. We are finally episode 12. And I got my man here. After a long-awaited appearance, got my boy, Rodney Smith. Welcome to the show, my man.
What's going down, sir?
You know, same old, same old. So we're just going to do what we always do.
Is that right?
Sit here, kick it, have a little bourbon,
Okay.
smoke some sticks, talk shop. How you been, man?
I've been wonderful, man.
Yeah?
Extremely tired, but wonderful.
Yeah. All right. Well, for those of you that don't know, Rodney and I go way back, and I owe Rodney the utmost respect and thank you because, you know, a lot of the people y'all see on here is people I've met either here at ICC or a lot of them through my boy Rodney. The connector, the great connector. And, you know, there's a lot of you probably watching on here that are in the bourbon clubs, and y'all probably know him from the bourbon clubs. His, you know, claim to fame, some would say whiskey with him and those guys over there, which he recently stepped aside from to a degree. But, yeah, Rodney, doing a lot of events with Rodney and getting to know Rodney over the years. And we're going to dig into this, so I'm not going to just leave this here, but Rodney is a great connector of people, and Rodney hosts a lot of great events, which I've attended many of. Like, y'all want to find me outside of this, like, if Rodney's got an event going on, I'm probably there, because Rodney throws some dope events, y'all. Like, if you ain't been to one of Rodney's events, y'all are missing out. Yeah. So Rodney is the owner of Bourbon Connection, and he does what would you tie as like brand management and marketing?
Brand management and marketing, most definitely, yeah.
Brand management and marketing. All right. So yeah, so he does the Bourbon Connection, and they host all kinds of events, y'all. Like, I mean, everything you can imagine. Like, he's had watch events, he's had these elaborate dinner parties and cigar events to just hanging out, man. And Rodney hangs out with cool people, man. Like, Rodney don't keep no bad company.
They're all right.
That's one thing I've learned about Rodney from the day I met Rodney. Rodney don't keep bad company. If you bad company, he ain't gonna let you hang around very long.
Lies. I hang around a lot of bad people.
Shout
out to my brother.
Well, you already did. If y'all want to hear about, and we ain't going to do this on this episode either, y'all want to hear about Gangster Rodney, which I had the joy of going back and watching this.
He's lying.
Y'all go back and follow my boy Randall Sullivan's Bourbon Real Talk. And it's like episode 3 or something like that. I had to really dig to find this.
Lies.
But it's like an hour and a half of pure gold of Randy and Rodney chopping it up. Like, I got some good belly laughs in last night watching this. Like, I do a little bit of research before every show. And as well as I know you, I felt like I had to watch that. Like, I was like, there's got to be something good on here, like, that I can pull from this. But, like, man, it was interesting to hear your story coming up. And I want to dig into what you're doing now more so than the past. But I think it's important for people to know that, like, Rodney came up straight up from the streets, like, hustling. And much like me, no college degree, you know, like, we worked our way up in what we do. And I think there's a lot to be said for that, because a lot of people today don't take the time to gain any experience. They're not willing to put in the work to get the experience and go down that road to better themselves. Whereas they think just because they went and got this piece of paper, it's game over. I can go get a job anywhere. Right. And then you go start interviewing, and it's like, what experience do you have? And they're like, oh, sorry, yeah. I don't have time for that. Yeah. So maybe give people a little brief synopsis of, like, your what you started off doing to where you are now, and kind of what you're going with the Bourbon Connection. Because you're also is it IT management or cybersecurity is what you kind of like, that's your day-to-day job.
Yeah. So let me kind of like go back. I appreciate the dope intro, but, you know, I'm not straight gangster. I haven't started off like that. I mean, to be honest with you, that was something that kind of like I fell into. We were raised military literally from the time we were born all the way to my mom and dad got a divorce when I was 12, 13-ish. Which that right there created a different lifestyle because, you know, my mom didn't have, she didn't have she wasn't educated. Not saying she's dumb, but she just didn't have the decorations of high school diploma and also the college degrees. So when they retired, she was a stay-at-home wife pretty much. And we had to move to Atlanta. My dad moved to New York, and we lived in low-income houses because we couldn't afford to live in a good area, which forced us to be exposed to a lot of different things at the age of 13 that I've never seen before in my life. And I'm not going to go into all of it, but I mean, at the end of the day, we kind of had to fall into the environment. We've done some things I wasn't, I'm not going to say I wasn't proud of, because it literally made me who I am today. But got kicked out of high school, had to get my GED at 15. I tried to do the college thing for 3 weeks. I ended up catching a dope case 3 weeks into college, so that didn't work out. And then, I hustled. I met my who is my wife now. At that time, she used to buy illegal things from me. And
that's the part that tripped me out the most, man. When I heard that, I was like, if you'd asked me, I would have bet money against that. And I was like, nah.
You just putting all her business out there like
he did for an hour and a half.
At the end of the day,
on that show, I mentioned
it is what it is. Ain't nobody gonna say nothing to her. She good.
And I'm gonna put that back out there because Rodney kind of did me dirty. When I first went to Rodney's house, I got my wife with me. We go to Rodney's new house. They've been in this house like a week. I mean, I'd been in my house for like 6 months and still had boxes that were not unpacked. Rodney's house was immaculate.
Have you not met his wife?
That's what I'm saying. I'm getting there.
She's a beast.
So Ro runs a tight ship. I mean, that house, spotless, everything was unpacked. It might not have been in her final destination place, but that whole damn place was like immaculate. There was 60 damn people in this house. And you know what Rodney does when my wife comes in? He's like, oh, let me introduce you to my wife. And when we start talking, he's like, hey, Ro, go show him the kitchen and all this and that. Man, Rodney's pantry is like on some OCD level shit I ain't never seen in my life. Everything has a container
and a name,
label,
and
a spotlight, and there's like a little X on it. Like if that bottle ain't put back there, Ro gonna be going live on them kids.
Oh yeah,
his pantry is faced like a grocery store shelf.
Better,
perfect.
Better. I mean, it's better. And my wife's like, "Why doesn't our pantry look like that?" I'm like, "Well, Ro did all that, so you want to do that? Like, go right ahead. I'm not stopping you."
Oh yeah,
but yeah. She runs a ship around there.
It's kind of nerve-wracking a little bit too, man, just because I get tired of that shit from time to time. You know what I mean? Like, everything has a place, and so it sometimes, like, those containers, they take up too much space. You know, like, especially in the refrigerator. Like, everything has a container. Like, my kids' room, toys, my bathroom, like, everything has something to sit in. And I'm like, man, these containers are taking up so much space that I can't even really put everything I want to put in there, because it has to be in alignment with the inside of the case, and you can't put nothing on the outside. It's stupid.
His drawers, his socks, they all in like containers, like segmented out.
Do you sometimes purposely move shit out of whack just to mess with her?
Oh, all right. Well, yeah. Since you want to put
on the shelf did it.
Since you want to put me on blast, because I know she does this to me. I've actually threw some stuff away.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Because I'm like, I'm getting tired of this shit. Like, I mean, I come in the house, man, we have new decorations, new containers. I mean, like, everything will be completely redone after like 2 or 3 months. You know, like, my wife has, she has a problem with like buying new things. Like, for every season or either every holiday, it has to match or something different. So, like, we go through phases, man, and, like, it just gets on my last nerves, man.
I understand that, because, like, I will trade any chore in the world not to dust. Because when I was a kid growing up, my mom literally decorated the entire house, every room, for every real and bullshit holiday you can think of. And the whole house, like, we did those, like, home and garden, pray to homes things. And like, if you had dusting duty, like you had to pick all these knickknacks up, clean everything, put them back exactly where they went.
Yeah.
Man, I have no space for that in my life at this point in time. That drives me absolutely insane. But I feel you on that. Like, but yeah, he went and like, he didn't even want to show my wife the rest of the house. He wanted to show the damn pantry and how organized it is. I heard about that for weeks. I was like, all right, I see you. I got you.
That just means, I don't know why you would have got blamed for that one. Your wife you should have been like, babe, you need to get on your P's and Q's. You could have turned that back around.
You've met
on her.
my wife. Come on now, bro.
Just saying. Trying to give you ammunition. Fight back.
All right, I got you. So let's get back into it. We got a little derailed there, but you were saying, you know, you met Ro. She kind of changed your life, got you to
really more spiritually connected, man. I mean, at that point, you know, I didn't have a clue, but what was God, Jesus, Moses, Abraham? I didn't know the difference, man. Never really went to church, you know, like we went to church, but I mean, as a kid, you don't pay attention to what's going on. So she got me into, you know, repenting and understanding the word. So that was like really a start of a transition. And as we continued to get closer, you know, like she was like at some point, because I put her through some stuff, man. I mean, like some serious stuff to a point where like she was getting tired of it.
Yeah.
And it was like, you either got to stop doing this or I'm gone. And I ain't never had no woman tell me that before. And I mean, it's not like we was seriously dating, you know, like we were talking, you know, and,
yeah.
But she was one of the favorites at that time. You know what I mean? I had a little player background, but I was like, you know what, man, I'm gonna give this thing a try. You know what I mean? I'm getting tired of going through all the stuff that I'm going through, and I'm just sick and tired of being sick and tired. So like, let me change. And I've always been, you know, smart and intelligent, and always been the person to network with individuals. I just make bad decisions, you know, like any other person that doesn't have, you know, the right father figure and guidance and all of that stuff, man. So she introduced me to God, and that's really what changed my life. And from there, you know, you talk about not having experience going into the workforce. Well, I've sold things my whole, like literally like half of my life by that point, where I was trying to go into the workforce, and I was extremely cocky, confidence and everything, or confident. And I ended up meeting this dude who was a sales manager at Dell, and I met him at a job fest, and he was like, dude, at this time, he ain't lying. I had braids, gold grill, like all of that. He was like, would you be willing to cut your hair and like take out that grill? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, if you do, I'll be willing to get you a job. I could work with you, man. He's like, but you got to go through the process, the interview and all that. And I'm like, done. So I went through this interview at Dell Computers, 20 years old, no work experience, no nothing. And I went in there like I owned that daggone job. Like I literally walked in there confident, like, man, selling computers, you know, like this stuff is easy. You know, like, I mean, at the end of the day, it's just really about the relationships. Understand people, like, you know, like, I mean, I own that interview. And before we walked out that interview, he told me, he's like, bro, I want to hire you. He's like, you are going to be on my team. And that right there, like, changed my life as far as like getting into the business world.
That's awesome. And if y'all want the really funny version of that, I'm going to give him one more plug. Go back and watch Randall with Rodney on like episode 3. I'm telling y'all that story is golden when it comes out on there.
Lies,
but you know, that's what we're about here.
Doesn't exist.
Well, so back to that, mentors. You mentioned when I watched that old video that's a lie. You talked about mentor, and I think I met him up here recently with you. You had one of your mentors up here.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was the same guy.
No, it was.
Okay.
So that dude that you met, his name is Steve Davis. He had a program for bad kids, and he used to pick us up. Like, we were so bad in school, we had a trailer in the back where all the kids that was like their last chance, they went to this program. It was called Eagle Ridge. And now it transitioned into making of men, but I can't remember what it was called back in the day. But he's seen a lot of potential. You know, he took us out, you know, like to get us off the streets. He would take us boxing. He would take us to do things like after school activities, and he just tried to really keep us out of the streets. I mean, it didn't really work, but I mean, he was consistent. And as I got older,
enough that you still to this day associate and spend time with this man.
Most definitely, yeah. Well, and he lives in Oklahoma City.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's very important to people to find mentors in their life, no matter what it is or how you come about them. It's something we haven't talked about a lot on this show, but I can promise you every person you see on the show has a group of mentors and people that they rely on for stuff like this. I think it's an important part, whether you came from the streets, you came super educated, whatever, that's a crucial thing, I think. And like, how did he help you transition to where you did start hearing him?
It wasn't really until like later on. I mean, you know, in the religious and church community, they would call that planting the seed. Regardless of what it is you want out of life, if you want something out of life, a mentor is crucial to any form of success, whether it's marriage, whether it's, you know, a career, whether it's, shoot, if you out selling drugs, you know, like you gonna mentor with somebody to elevate yourself to the next level. And with him, you know, I've always followed him on Facebook, and he does a lot of live videos and preaching and things of that nature. So just like watching him, seeing how he moves, and then also, you know, seeing his transformation, you know, looking at the things that he was doing, man, I'm like, okay, this guy ain't just talking to talk. Like, to this day, he's literally with kids all day, every day. He's getting 6-figure grants. He's making a lot of money. You know, he ran for office. I mean, it's a lot of stuff that he was doing really to devote to these kids. And a lot of times, like, and you know, one of the things that was really hard for me to train, and I'm kind of like jumping around, but I'm going to get back to the point. Like, one of the hardest things for me jumping into the corporate world is that I never grew up around white people, so I didn't understand them. And I used to always want to know, like, you know, like when I used to work at Dell, people used to be like, well, people didn't used to be like, I used to think, like, why don't they invite me out to these parties? I see the other black guys and stuff, they get to come out and go to the little after work little functions and stuff. And I'm like, man, why they don't ever come to me and ask me, do I want to go? And it was really because of my mentality. And there was like cultural differences. I didn't know how to communicate. I didn't understand like the lingo. Like, we had no commonalities. So it made me really want to change. And at that point, I start seeing him change. And I knew who he was. So I'm like, okay, at the end of the day, like when you look in the black community, we have terminology, you know, like, you know, don't just talk the talk, walk the walk. And I started to see his walk. He wasn't just talking. So me wanting to change, I'm looking at the only person that I know that's doing things and actually saying what they're going to do.
And being consistent with it.
Every day. Yeah. So it made me pay attention. And like you said, he planted the seed, man. And and I can't just give all the credit to him. I got to give the credit to my wife because she really planted the seed of God. Then I had other mentors, you know, that kept me on a straight and narrow, because I used to come to work, man, baggy jeans, Dickie outfits, like, and this is at a corporate job. I mean, it was a call center, but, you know, they tell you to dress for success, dress how you want, you know, to be looked at, and dress for the job you want. And I was coming in there just looking like I came straight from the streets, until one day somebody came to me. He was like, man, this dude named Clint Mosley. He was like, man, Rod, you got so much potential. But you need to change your outlook and your perspective of what folks think of you. Because when you walk in here, you know, you look like a product of your environment, and you're not going to get the jobs that you want. Like, this is about as far as you're going to go if you stay on this path. And he was like, do you know God? And I'm like, I know God, you know, like, do you have a relationship with him? And like, start putting me into these Bible studies. And that right there was the true change of me, you know, living one life, going to work, and then living the other life, and then going right back off work and going home and doing the same thing I was doing. Like, I literally had one foot in the door, one foot out the door. But it was him that started that transition to help me really understand, like, there's a different part of life out there that I could achieve.
That's awesome, man. I think you guys can relate to this. Mm-hmm. I mean, you've heard a lot of people on my show say this, and, you know, I think it's something in every community, you know, like, every great man has a really strong woman behind him.
Most definitely.
You know, and, you know, to do all the things you do, and you put yourself out there, and you know, to be able to have the time, it takes that support too, and that encouragement. And I think that's something that's often overlooked. But I've heard time and time again, that is a very common theme here when people start talking about that. So
before you go into that, I actually want to talk about that. You know, like having a strong woman, you know, like most people think, you know, like you got to have a strong woman, you know, behind you to stand behind you and support you. Yes, to a certain extent. You know, like I got to give a shout out to my guy, Charles, 550 group, you know, shout out to him. He ain't watching this because he ain't on no social media platforms, but got to give a shout out to him. We were just talking about this the other day. And one of the things that most people think is like, you got to have a woman who's always supportive, or the woman who's building you up to get to the places you need. And that's not always true. You know, like our job as a man, like that's what we're supposed to do. You know, like we're not meant to be happy. We're not meant, you know, like over the periods of time, like literally since the beginning of days, you can't name a time, especially back in the day, where men were happy. I mean, like you grew up warriors. You know, you had to become, you were a Viking. You fought for, you know, like nobody was happy back then. And now, you know, like we have more freedom of speech. We have more rights. You see more personal feelings and people saying, oh, I don't want to do this and I have the right to do that. Like it's making things aware of like diseases, stress and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, you know, like I don't need a woman behind me that's going to support me because I have the desire and discipline to do it on my own. Like the biggest help for me with her was that she was able to stay home and take care of the kids in the house while I was out doing everything that I needed to do. You know, and that's been like a blessing for me. You know, like I thought, you know, I think about like.
But that's a strong woman though. Like not all women do those things.
They don't, man.
And that's what that's more what I'm saying. I mean, I get where you're going with this.
No,
like,
I get it, but I mean, like, just perspective, because everything. I mean, you may go there, but I mean, somebody may think, you know, I just hear so many people say like, well, as I strive, I know a guy right now I'm dealing with a celebrity guy I'm dealing with. I'm not going to put his business out in the street because it hasn't went viral yet, but they had a TV show and his career took off after this TV show. And they just weren't on the same page. Like he's elevating and he's going to another place. And he's like, well, I need my woman to elevate with me to go here. You know, they got nannies and stuff. And I'm just thinking like, man, I don't think I want a woman with the same drive as I have, because I probably wouldn't be able to do the stuff that I'm doing right now.
Somebody's got to take care of all the other stuff.
Yeah, like seriously.
But I mean, it's a sacrifice. It's a give and a take. But I'm just saying, you got to have that, and you got to have that communication. Like they've got to be supportive of what you're doing.
Most definitely.
To be able to do that. Like everybody that you've heard say that stuff, like in the background, there is still someone doing those things.
Most definitely.
Because, I mean, regardless of what your career is and to be successful and to get into all these other ventures, which is where I was really going with this, is, you know, you got to have that kind of support back there. Because, I mean, it takes you away from your family to do a lot of these things. Mm-hmm. And you got to put in that work to be able to provide for them the things that you want to provide for them, no matter what your career is.
Most definitely.
But let me throw a caveat in though, fellas, because the reason I selected my wife was because of her independence and her ability to match my vibe. Because even though I don't mind a woman that takes care of home, I don't know, and this is just me. I like a woman that has the same drive. Like I didn't know she was a psycho entrepreneur until she seen me grinding. I've always had a job, but always had, you know, DJing, what else? It was always a side hustle. And when we met, I was selling cars, and her credit wasn't good enough to get a car. And we had started dating. I had 3 or 4 cars. I'm like, well, we dating. You might as well just drive one of my whips. And she's like, nah, that's okay. I'll get my own, because if we break up, I'm going to end up walking. So I'm going to get my own whip. And I was like, I asked her to marry me like 3 weeks later, because I was like, yo, any other female be like, give me the keys, I'm with it.
Yeah.
But just because I couldn't find a woman that had enough strive that, now sometimes that does get in the way of our marriage. She's too independent.
Yeah.
Like literally, she asked me for some money today, like she was borrowing it. I'll get it back to you Friday. I'm like, we live in the same, what are you talking about? You're going to give it back. Like sometimes that does get in the way. It's like, no, let me be a provider, but she's also making sure she's pulling her weight. Yeah,
that's the way it is with my wife. I mean, my wife is very, very independent and strong-willed and strong-minded. Like, I mean, and that's one of the things I don't ever have to worry about my wife. My wife handles her business. Like, I ain't got to worry about that. Mm-hmm. Like,
my wife said if she left, she's like, just give me my keys and my car and give me my clothes. I'm good. I'm out. Yeah. I was like, word, I'm going to test that theory one day. She says, go ahead. Then I got kind of nervous. I was like, I'm just playing. Damn.
You got somebody on the side or something already waiting?
Hey, bro. I got the second set of keys just in case.
Well, you have transitioned from, like we talked about a little bit what you still do for a living, but there's 3 things I want to touch on and that I would like for you to share your experience with and, kind of talk a little more in depth about. There's 3 things that since I've known you that's more how I see you is there's the Bourbon Connection, which is the most recent thing you are fully head on immersed in. Before that, there was Someone Say Whiskey, and you were one of the guys that helped create and founded this super group of bourbon people that is larger than any other group that I can think of. And I know that alone opened up a lot of doors. As you guys see on the table here is also a bottle of Unallocated. That is something Someone Say Whiskey and Rodney and those guys did as a side project. That is their own brand that they bottle and put out. It's great stuff. I like it a lot. But you've kind of talk about the process of that. And what made you was this just guys? I kind of know the story a little bit, but for the audience, when Someone Say Whiskey was first coming about, what made you guys do that, and how did that evolve into the beast it was? For those of you that don't know, this group is 15, 20,000 people. It's nationwide. They do some really awesome charity work. They do huge barrel picks. People chase after their stuff. And it's so much that even though Rodney has continued to grow and move on to his passions and dreams, that he actually had to recently step away from Someone Say Whiskey to allow himself to continue to grow and take on Bourbon Connection fully. This is my take on it. That's not stealing your words, but
you're good.
I watched your video and stuff when you made your announcement. So I was like, something big's coming here. But kind of maybe talk about a little bit about that. How did Someone Say Whiskey grow, and what did you guys do? What were the things you guys did from somebody that started out a small little bourbon group that turned into this monstrosity that is a powerhouse and has opened up doors and doing all the things you guys are doing? How did that evolve and take place?
Man, first of all, I've always learned to play the cards that I was dealt with. I look at everything as an opportunity, regardless of where I've been, whether it's a job at Target, whether it's a job at KFC, whether it's opening and creating Someone Say Whiskey. It was always an opportunity to do something else. Like I told you, I've had that hustler mentality. So my mind is always, how do I turn this $50 into $100, and this $100 into $300, and $3 to $650?
Yeah.
Always looking to move up the scale. So when I saw, I just got into bourbon at this time. I was working in the IT space, which I still currently do as account executive. I was out in Atlanta meeting with some clients. We went out with Home Depot executives and Chick-fil-A executives, and they wanted to go out and have a drink. And I didn't know anything about bourbon, cigars, or anything at that time. And they were just talking all of this crazy stuff, naming things. And I'm like, I couldn't engage in conversation. So I said, never again will I be put into a business meeting where I can't engage, especially in a conversation like that. So I came back, I started doing research, told my wife I want to get into bourbon. And just so happened, me and Randy live in the same neighborhood at this time. And our neighborhood has a Facebook page. And Randy had a post up from 2 years ago stating, hey, here's a picture of my collection. I'm a realtor. Anybody want to come over and drink? Everything's open. I'd love to sit down and talk. And ain't nobody taking him up on this offer. Everybody's like, oh my God, the collection's great, blah, blah, blah. I come in, my wife tagged me in this post. That's how I saw it. And I'm like, oh, I'll come drink some of your bourbon. So we ended up doing a bourbon tasting. Me and him got together and started drinking. I'm like, man, we should start a neighborhood whiskey club. And you do all this education and tutorial stuff. We could just start charging, $15, $20, $30. I'm charging people to drink his whiskey and making money. But I'm like, I got that hustler mentality.
This part of the story.
It's that hustler mentality going. So I'm thinking how do we turn a profit on this, man? And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna create a neighborhood whiskey club, and we're gonna get together and do these educational sessions. And then from there, it went from a neighborhood group to I was like, you know what? I want to open the floodgates of hell, and I want to do something slightly different than what DFW Whiskey Club is doing, and I want to create an international group. So I said we got to start local and we got to grow it big. And the way that I know how people operate, people love gifts. People love, to win things and to be acknowledged and things of that nature. That's just the world we live in. People want rewards. So I figured I'd create a community that gives back to people. And that just created people inviting more and more and more and more people. And then it became this huge thing. When we got to 5,000 members, we gave away a lot of shit. Shout out to
right then.
Cigar and Industrials. They donated some products and humidors and a lot of other people. So we became this club that always gave back to the community, and it made people want to bring in other people. They're like, hey man, they do barrel picks. They're always giving away things, which created opportunities. So I'm like, okay, this is a free club. We don't charge anybody for nothing. We're doing all these partnerships. Like, we got to have an outlet to where we make money. And nobody really wanted to do that. And me, I'm a person that always like to put people in position. I always think of people outside of myself. I'm not selfish at all. Like, I think that's one of the things. Like, it could be a gift and it could be a weakness at the same time.
You truly are that. I mean, like, I know you're not a big guy on taking compliments, but like, that is you to a T.
Most definitely. I mean, I've had to realize, like, that's really who I am. As tough as I always try to sound and try to be, like, I have a heart and I love people and I love to give back and I want to put people on. So I gave a lot of the admins that were part of the club more responsibility and more of a voice. So it's not like it's just my club and I tell y'all what to do. So I want to give y'all an opportunity to make, some decisions as well too. So we made a vote to see if we want to start making money. Nobody really wanted to do it. So it brought in opportunities. Shout out to Dave and Dave Frakes from Industrial. He introduced me to Jalen Smith. That was one of the first people I met, from a professional sport perspective. We helped him out with Hotel Tango. And right then and there, I said, you know what? I like the way this feels. I'm going to start dealing with pro athletes. And I mean, I literally said it that day, and I start doing it. So we start getting introductions to more and more people. We start getting relationships with restaurants and pool manufacturers and all these people. And I'm like, you know what? I have leverage. I'm lightweight and influencer. So I go to places like Thomas Luxury Watch. Hey man, I need a watch or I need some money. Like, what are your slow days? I know you guys like to make money. The days that you're slow, what if I utilize my whiskey club to do an event here and I get all the people that I know that love watches to come out and buy watches at a discounted rate for this specific time and day? You don't have to do a huge discount, but like, what if you're not fucking selling watches, a profit is a profit. It's better to have something than to have zero. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got a quota to make, and I know you got to have an increase in revenue. So what if we do an event and we do an event here based off watch sales that day? You give me a certain percentage off watch sales. I go to steakhouses and restaurants, and I do the same thing. Until now, I'm starting to develop relationships, and people are like, okay, come in, we do things, and you can come eat for free. And I'm like, damn, that was easy. Well, let me try to take it one step further. So I start meeting other guys. The Jalen Smith opportunity got me introduced with Michael Finley, and that's they reached out to me. One of my boys, Jeff McKinney, that's his brother-in-law. He's like, hey man, you got a lot of influence. You think you can help raise some funds for the Michael Finley Foundation? And then right there, it was like a domino effect. It was like every week I start getting introduced to more athletes, and now it's like 5 to 10 people a week that literally are now reaching out to me. I mean, I can, in my inbox on Instagram right now, people are reaching out like, yo, I want to work with you. How can we have a conversation? And by the grace of God, I turned that into the Bourbon Connection. I was like, you know what? I'm going to start making some money.
And I'm not going to tell you all the secret. But
Go ahead.
If you need a meeting with Rodney, he talked about food. Rodney will never stand you up for a lunch date.
I will, only if you don't want to get turned down. I'm gonna say the spot.
Oh,
Jing
man.
Chi. They're gonna have to pay me now.
Yeah.
Jing Chi in Richardson.
I'm telling y'all, like, as far as Chinese food changed my life. The dumplings,
Right.
they're insane. But
best thing on the
if you want Rodney to show up and you ain't got a pool with Rodney, that's the secret key right there.
Invite me to Jing Chi.
Yeah, Jing Chi, he's showing up. So it's the power of networking and building relationships that you just kind of went through from the start to finish to that and to where you are now. And another common thread here is, giving more than you take. Like your guys' whole club's principle was on giving back to the community, like trying to find ways to give to the people that were involved, which elevated all of you. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a very important lesson to grab onto here, like, because it's opened up other doors. Like, you guys doing all that, then you guys you guys are the first ones to come out and put your own label on a bottle. Like, y'all started going out and sourcing your own whiskey, blending it, and putting it under your own label. Did you ever think you were going to do that?
Dude, I never thought I'd be running a whiskey club. I never thought I'd be doing what I'm doing right now.
But even when you came to terms with that, next level, now you guys got your own bottle. Randy got the Prideful Goat, and he did his thing with that.
Hold on. Shout out to Randy Sullivan and Chris Hart. Their bottle ranked number 13 whiskey.
I saw that. Yeah.
Out of 100.
Yeah. Was that, and do you know, I didn't get to read the article yet today. Was that just the rye, or was that the regular bourbon?
I think that's the bourbon. I don't know yet. I didn't get to read the article.
Because the rye is, whew.
Yeah.
That's something else to mess with. But yeah, huge props. You guys, they created another label, and number 13 out of everything y'all see on the shelves, it's Specs, Total Wine, all these liquor stores, that's pretty dope. To pull something like that off, it just shows you the power of networking and building relationships right there. And what Randall's done with his podcast, you and I've had talks about this several times. I've sat and talked to Randall about how I should approach this and that, because as many people want to hate on Randall, he is a good dude. I went to high school with Randy and his wife. More his wife than Randy. Randy graduated a little bit before me, but I know his wife very well. We all went to school together. And it's amazing to me the amount of hate some people have in these groups. And it's honestly what has deterred me from a lot of the stuff with the groups, because I've been like Switzerland. I float around between all these groups and just kind of, I'll participate to whatever level, but it's this us versus them stuff all the time that these groups act like they can't, get along, and over some petty stuff and drama that, true, not true. I don't want to get into all that. That's not what this show is going to be about at all. But it's amazing to me that there can be that many people that are doing this. And it's you watch some of these groups. Some groups are really taking advantage of this type of stuff and doing this. Some are sitting on absolute gold mines and not doing anything. And I think there's a lot of lessons to be learned from the stuff that you did as a part of this group that would translate across that, and groups and networks outside of just bourbon. But I think it's an amazing feat that a common thing of bourbon has led to all these things. This takes you from getting introduced to players and people and finding your calling and realizing that there's this opportunity here and where you can add value. And that's what I think is great about the Bourbon Connection. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing with that now and where that's going.
Like I said, all of it was an opportunity, from Unallocated So-and-Say Whiskey, and then also the Bourbon Connection. It's really about what you want out of life. And I'm going to get into the Bourbon Connection, but I kind of want to, make a statement in regards to something you said earlier today about all of these things that I'm doing and the opportunity at hand. I'm an opportunist, and I'm always thinking of a way to create wealth or generate some sort of revenue. I fought too hard to get out of where I was at, to
not do
anything, to not be successful. It's a reason why I was blessed to not be in prison, to not be killed, to get over and still have, my family after the stuff that I've done to my wife. Like, it's a blessing, and everybody has the same opportunity. And me, I just look at the things that I have in front of me and I use it as leverage. I talk even like with Busy, like Busy is extremely, extremely valuable. Busy has so much opportunity, and I want to help, get him to that next level. Like, we had a conversation earlier today, and me and him are going to have a conversation right after this. I'm not going to go too much in depth for it, but Busy has a real opportunity. You have a real opportunity. There's leverage that comes with this camera, this microphone, the things that he's doing. And all I did was just leverage the people that I had on my platform the same way Facebook does, and go out and create relationships, get business opportunities, and drive demand. So the Bourbon Connection, I looked at it as, okay, we have 15,000 people in our club. I've made a lot of really great relationships from this, and I want to start making money. If I'm not going to do it within Someone Say Whiskey, I'm going to do it another route. Yeah. And the other route was me creating a networking company and a marketing company that's going to cater around pro athletes. I'm like, okay, I got all these pro athlete relationships. Why don't I leverage it to do something with it? And I read 2 books that changed my life. One of them was Pitch Anything and Blue Ocean Strategy.
Yes, sir.
Mark that down.
And Blue Ocean, bruh, dope books, man. And bruh, it's really all about being relevant to people. And I found out how to be relevant to people. I have a following, so that means I have a source that any company can market to. They do it on Facebook all day. If I say French fry, like McDonald's and Burger King, anything that has French fries is going to pull up on my feed. Yeah, they're paying for that. So now I just go out and create something, and I leverage these athletes and me, I know athletes have companies and they have money, and they not have money, but they have companies. They need to make money. Well, I have people that will buy it, and I'm just using these relationships to go out and say, hey, such and such pro athlete, NBA player, whatever, I don't want nothing from you. I'm building instant credibility with them right there. I'm like, off the top, I don't want you to pay me. I don't want you to do nothing. What if we put an event on where I help you make money? All you got to do is show up. I'm going to get the people there. I'm going to get everybody that needs. I'm going to have sponsors. We're going to have liquor, food, everything. You just show up. By the way, I know you have a startup organization. I know people. I know IT people. I know marketing people. I know all sorts of people that would help you get to the next level where you need to be. You need a website set up? I got a guy. And then I go back to these guys and I'm like, hey, I got a guy, NFL. Everybody wants to hang around NFL, NBA players. Yeah. Hey, what if he gives you a signed jersey or something like that? Would you help him, create this website? Would you help him, do a little bit of marketing? Of course, and anytime I do something cool, I'll just invite you out. And then and off top, I come back to him like, hey, I'll do all this stuff for you for free. But when I need you for 3 or 4 events, I need you to show up. I ain't got to make money off you right here, but I'm going to make money off you in another way. So I created the Bourbon Connection to get people involved with athletes and celebrities, and have the athlete entrepreneur be involved with the business networking side of the house and really having a great time. So the Bourbon Connection is really all about networking at a high value. It's all about the experience, and it's about being in front of people that you probably wouldn't get the chance to be in front of on a day-to-day, and actually make things happen. We encourage it.
That's beautiful. I advocate for that stuff all the time. And what I would like to tag onto that is, even though you're getting those opportunities, let's just say you get invited to one of these events, or you pay to go to one of Rodney's events. The biggest advice or thing I could say to you, and I've always treated this so my dad, when I was a kid, bought me all kinds of autographs. We went to baseball games, football games, this stuff, and we went to spring training, stuff like that, and we would fight to get these autographs and stuff like that. I held on to the balls that we actually went and got something autographed. Now, if he bought it for me, it didn't hold the same value. And I still look at this the same way when I don't understand where people get so enamored with a famous person, because at the end of the day, they are just another human being. Mm-hmm. And that they want that autograph. They gotta have that autograph. Or you're willing to even go interrupt that human being's dinner, lunch, breakfast, time with their family, whatever, that you don't have any regard for them in their personal space. And I think this is a good opportunity to say this. Like, a lot of people could really gain friends and networking abilities if you just treated it. I don't care how famous they are. If you can throw that starstruck thing aside a little bit and just treat them like a human being, shake their hand, have a conversation with them, treat them like a normal human being, like somebody else you met off the street. It's even better when you don't even know who the hell they are. Like Jonathan Scott, like all I knew was that that's one big damn dude. Like when I was at ICC in the public lounge, he'd walk through and then I'm like, damn, that's a big dude. And he was friendly as shit. Like we just talked and hung out. Then later on, I ended up at an event with you, and holy shit, he played on all these NFL teams and this and that, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, we were already friends by then, though. Like, you know, like I had already made an acquaintance, you know, into a friend. And I think people miss so many of those opportunities being starstruck and just not treating another human being the way any other human being would want to be treated. So that's my 2 cents on that kind of scenario. But what do you have upcoming? Like what do you got cooking over there at Bourbon Connection? Because I mean, I'm gonna go and let you talk about it because I'm a little upset because you changed the date. Because if it had been the date you said, I would be at said event. But now it's on a date that
people make time for things that they want to do.
I can't because of my day job make this said event, and I have clients going on an event with me for this, so I can't be at this next one. But y'all should take note. It's something, if it piques your interest, you probably want to be at this. It's going to be a dope event.
Well, this next one we have coming up is already sold out, so I won't even talk about that one.
All right.
But I end up meeting up with Post Malone. So we got an event that we got going on with him in March. I'm actually excited about this.
When we get off the air, you got to tell me that date because I'm blocking that off on my calendar.
We got a meeting about it next Wednesday, so we'll have final date on that. But he has a new tequila out called Dos Landres. It's I did say tequila, right?
Yeah.
And we're going to help throw a launch party for it. It's not really in store. Well, it's not in stores right now. So it's going through, you know, distribution, going through, you know, all the processes it needs to take.
Labels,
to get the label is done. Just the SKU process, getting it into stores. So I'm helping with those connections, and we're going to make a really dope event out of it. That's going to come up in March. You know, we also have another event coming up in March as well. It's going to be a pretty big event with Coffee Anderson. He's a black country singer. He has a TV show called Country Ever After on Netflix.
I'm going to have to say this out. You've been posting the shit out of this. Like, I'm going to have to check this out. Like, country,
he's dope.
It's my thing at times, but like, I can't always get into all this new stuff coming out in country music.
He's dope, man.
All right.
But we have that also coming out. It's going to be kind of like a concert. Get to know him. Talk a little bit about his new app coming out called Oh Yeah. That's as much as I'm going to say because I haven't signed like NDAs and I don't want to, you know, like I don't want to just throw some stuff out there. But yeah, he has a lot of stuff going on. We have Charles Woodson. I've been trying to work with him for the longest with Woodson Bourbon Whiskey. We're going to do an event with him.
Have you tried that yet?
Yes.
All right. How good is it?
Oh, it's great.
All right. You got the little smile, nod. I've been dying to try it. I want to try it.
So here,
Charles Woodson is one of my favorite players because like that is dirty old school.
I'm gonna be honest, man. I mean, like, why would you ask me that?
Because I have to. Because I know you're going to be honest about it, and that's what people want to hear. Like,
so
I mean, just
it's not the greatest. It's not bad, but you got to also understand, like,
what's the price point? Because that's
like $20 something dollars.
Yeah, see, like that's the thing I say on here all the time. Like I've told people a lot. Like I know you'll agree with this, probably. I think you will. You know, Terry Bradshaw put out a great bourbon. I don't know if you like it or not, but to me, great bourbon is like $40-$50. Not bad. When Sweeten's Cove came out, man, I was so beside myself. Like, all right, you sourced 15-year Dickel. I don't think you got somebody on your team that's got some kind of Nancy the Nose that's like pulling out some crazy ass bottle that like you found this one barrel.
You do know why they do that, right?
No, I know, but you know, at the same time, you're paying, you go to the store and buy $100 bottle of 15-year Dickel, which people dog all the time. People dog Dickel bad. I don't always get it. Like, I don't have anything against Dickel. I think Dickel's good. I mean, yeah, I've gotten a bad bottle of Dickel, but like, I don't think it's bad. But there is good too. Like, but a Sweetens Coke comes out, it's like $250 for the same damn 15-year Dickel juice. And I just don't think enough people are honest about like bourbon in the bourbon industry and talk about like, you can like a lot of things. Like, no single barrel is going to be the same. If you want something that's going to always taste the same, go buy the maker's mark off the shelf. Like, they blend it to taste the same all the damn time. Mm-hmm. Same thing with the regular Jack Daniels, Crown, whatever. They have expert blenders that are doing that. But like, when it comes to talking about a limited offering or someone's new label, people just don't seem to want to give the honest, like, I'm not saying you don't want to be honest about it, but I mean, like, it puts you to a tough spot. I mean,
but it's hard. You know what I mean? Because like, you're working with people.
But everybody's taste is different too.
It's a difference between saying something publicly versus saying something in private to give constructive criticism about a product. Because what you don't want to do, and I try to be careful of this because I don't want to, to turn someone away from a product that they may actually like because my palate is different. Like, with me, I like a little bit stronger bourbon. I like something with the bite. I want flavor. I want, just a different load of flavor profile in my drink. And when I first started, Eagle Rare was my jam. I go back to it now. I mean, it's good, but it's not that great like I thought it was. Even the same thing with blends. So with bourbon, woods, and whiskey, it's not bad, but it's not great. A lot of these guys get into it because of the monetary gain and opportunity. They're looking to invest in something. And right now, bourbon is hot. You can buy the bourbon, all these barrels, and if you don't sell out of them, you still probably have a 7% increase of inflation that you can resell those barrels for and still make a profit off of. So
where I was going with that and what I wanted to ask you on that, I'm glad you said that. So do you think there should be more description? Like, best example I can give would be like New Riff when someone does a single barrel and it has like the tasting notes on the side. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Do you think more bourbon should have that? Like, where they should put a little more tasting notes and whatnot? I mean, I know it kind of plants a seed sometimes, but like to where you kind of know a little bit more about like what that should be paired with, what that should go with, or what flavor notes are you most likely going to get? Do you think that would be like?
I think yes and no.
Yes and no?
Yeah. I mean, and the reason why is because the average person who's just now getting into bourbon probably won't even know what the hell you're talking about. Like, I have so many people that come in and be like, I say, hey, taste this, tell me what you think. I don't know, it tastes strong. They can't even pick out flavor components in general. But somebody who's probably been more experienced like me and you, we probably want to know a little bit more around which Four Roses is great at doing, and a lot of other companies as well. But it just depends on the individual. Some people will buy Unallocated and probably mix that thing with Coke. Like, who knows? To each their own, but yes and no is my thing. I just had to explain it.
No, I wanted you to explain it because like that's one of the things someone say whiskey always did very well was you can't hate on a bottle and like not have constructive criticism and
so hold on. Let me, so yes, you can't. It's not that we didn't say you couldn't hate on a bottle. And I wanna go a little bit into that because I want people to understand like why we said that. We partnered up with a lot of people, and we understand you're not gonna like everything. But what we didn't want you to do is to come on the page and just talk crazy about a brand that we're probably partnering with. Yeah. And they're like, you're just gonna that's like, somebody talking crazy about your mom or something like that. You're like, you just gonna let somebody say that about your mom? Like at this point, like we do business, and again, just because we do business, not saying that we're trying to push people to it. At least try everything. And if you don't like it, it gives you an understanding of like what your level of drink is, like what you like, what you don't like, things you can compare it to. Like give it a try before you just go out and then change the minds of the masses because we have a pretty large following. And that's what we didn't want to do because I'm not a huge fan of Blanton's, but there are people out there that love it. And somebody that comes out and says, if you're a new member of a club where you're not really active, you're not popular, and you have a drink that you like, but then somebody who has a lot of engagement comes back and say, this is a piece of shit. You're probably not going to want to talk about it, post about it, and you probably won't even buy it again. You probably won't drink it because someone else said it. So we just try to eliminate that.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. I mean, I've talked about this on the show many times, how my bourbon journey, and that I didn't chase allocated things. Not that I don't have allocated bottles, but my big thing was I chased craft distillers for a while. It was actually my first ban on Someone Say Whiskey, where I got put in timeout for a little while because I gave away.
Was it through us or was that through Facebook?
It was through y'all.
I didn't do it.
No, I know. I mean, I have no problem telling the story, and Ryan Wester's probably laughing his ass off right now listening to this, because I did a sampling of all of my buddies' bourbons and whiskeys and stuff from French Lick. And I gave away like 3 complete sample sets. They weren't as fancy as yours, but I gave away 3 little fancy little sample sets. And Ryan Wester was like, I want to win this just to drain pour it. And I was like, I told him I'd punch him in the throat if he actually did it. Yeah, shout out Ryan Wester. You're my boy. But we both literally got like 15-day ban or whatever.
Oh, no, that wasn't through us, dude. We can't ban you for like, that's Facebook doing that.
Well, we got both. Like, because I got messages from like Randall, even like, hey, what did you say? Like,
no. So
getting blown up on this.
No. So let me actually dive into that. So a lot of people don't realize, like, we get a lot of analytics ever since Mark Zuckerberg was exposed for invading in people's privacies, and then also allowing people to do illegal things on Facebook without managing it the right way. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like the government tore into his ass. So Mark Zuckerberg said, okay, if y'all want to hit me with all these fines and you want to say I'm invading all these privacy laws and allowing people to sell guns, I'm going to manage and I'm going to freaking watch everything. You can't even say I'm going to whoop your butt without being investigated. So what happens now, they have bots that are on Facebook that watches things for anything crazy. So if you say something, you may get a message that makes it look like it's from Someone Say Whiskey, but it's actually not. It's from the bots that are reading these posts that you make, and it'll give you notifications. It's not us, but we get alarmed about it as well too. So when something happens, we get a message that says your page is in violation. If you keep getting threats like this, or if we keep getting things like this in your club, your page will get shut down. Yeah. So then we're like, what's going on? What did you say? And a lot of times it don't even tell us what you say.
Yeah. No. I mean, that's fair. I mean, I've always thought it was funny that, you know, like Ryan Wester and I had this little back and forth banter, and, you know, it turned into that. Like, but that's neither here nor there, really. I mean, everybody's entitled to their opinion. It's funny how this like gets all like caught up in all the different stuff.
I was just gonna say, if you say something crazy, they will shut your live off in a heartbeat.
I know. I mean, we've had it happen. I mean, you guys have witnessed this happening before. Like, I mean,
yeah, like hey,
it's funny. We've literally
everything.
Sat in here and had a conversation with the same guest, and then the guest goes out on Cigar Talk Live and says something else, and either we got shut down for a few minutes and they don't, or vice versa. I mean, it's crazy what you can and can't say, but you know, that's why we do the live so that people can engage and, you know, ask questions and be a part of the show. But
dude, I got banned for 30 days for telling Gary Morris that I will boot you from the club. Just playing. They banned my personal page. I couldn't post nothing for 30 days. I was mad.
And Gary Morris is an admin in the group.
Mad.
That's awesome.
I was mad, son. Dave Chappelle. You don't know about that. Sorry.
Whatever.
You remember when he was doing the
you bringing back now. You're getting a little rowdy now. You said you was tired and I was going to have to pull it out of you.
I got to do something to stay up.
Now you got it up now.
I got to do something to stay up.
All right.
I'm over here looking at Busy over here dying, eyes all puffed up.
I know, I'm over here. Give Biz some credit
dying
tonight.
Laughing.
Biz is literally dying, trying to make sure the show still happens.
I got one of them polls that started at 9 o'clock last night, and it just elevated. I'm literally smoking cigars and drinking NyQuil over here.
And Biz tried to give his 9-year-old son the business, no pun intended, about hanging with the big boys, and then Biz is the one that ends up sick.
He definitely dwarfed me, even though he woke up with a sugar hangover the next day.
I was gonna say, I don't think Oliver got up quite as early for school. I heard Oliver had to be enticed to go to school the next day because Oliver, I've never seen a 9-year-old eat like that. Like that little dude.
Crushed a bucket of popcorn before you sat down. I mean, bro, I live with him.
He ate half of Biz's lobster mac and cheese. I think he ate half of his steak sandwich. He had an entire jug of popcorn, and we just sat down to start watching the game.
That sounds like my kids.
Then he smashed an entire thing of nachos that I couldn't even fathom how he ate that.
Yeah, I mean, he smashed nachos like, I mean, there was
Built like
nothing
a stick.
left.
He's a football player, though. He's always growing, and his brother eats twice as much as he does.
Yeah. I can only imagine. I don't know if I could afford to hang out with his older brother, but
Yeah, Jesse's way worse.
but he did it right. I hope he enjoyed his birthday. You know, we got to have a good time with Oliver.
Best birthday ever, bro.
That's how you doing it?
Yeah, man.
That's how you doing it?
Yeah, I see that over there. I was like, hey, the hired help would want one.
Man, I've been over here talking. I forgot I even had a cigar for a second, man.
Yeah, he over here like just slow rolling it. Not that he didn't forget my cigars he was supposed to bring, but, you know, we ain't going to talk about that.
Shout out to Atabay. This is like one of my favorite cigars too, man.
Dude, these are the new ones. Like, I mean, these just came out. So, for those of y'all wondering what we're smoking, we smoked a Patoro Blanche earlier.
Terry Blanche.
That's what he's smoking still. I already finished mine. I got a box of these Atabay Brujos.
You got fucking lungs like damn fish over there, dude. Like, what did you inhale the damn cigar?
I mean, I just wasn't talking as much as you. I mean, this is your show. I was letting you do all the talking.
Busy's like,
Busy might, like, stroke out over there on that NyQuil. I'm not sure what he's going on.
Don't stroke out on this.
That's how we do it on here.
Bam.
Lego.
So see, if you come on the show and you hang out, we not only drink good bourbon, we smoke good sticks.
And
like,
if he asks you what's your top 3 cigars, pick the most expensive ones out of the vault.
I will say, though,
I didn't think he was going to get them. I thought he was just asking.
even as a producer, Garrett is one of the best hosts, most courteous hosts. Like, he takes care of his people, takes care of his producer. Like, and when you come on, it's literally like you're sitting at his house and you guys
you're my
just talk.
guest. I mean, if I could do this at my house and there wasn't so much like airplane noise and traffic noise, like in the backyard, like I would love. I mean, we're gonna do that next year.
I'm trying to get it to do it. I didn't want to leave it. I went over his house. I literally was about to go back to my crib and get my bags.
Oh, he gave you a good time?
Bruh.
Yeah,
my
man,
son did not want to leave.
Oh, really?
Like
what he got going on over there? Let's talk about that for a second.
You just have to go over there and
here
see
we go.
it.
Yeah, I gotta have.
Just give me a high level of what is like.
When a 9-year-old doesn't want to leave somebody's house and there's no other kids around, you know his house.
He got all the
dope.
Xbox games or something?
We kept it up till like midnight. No, we didn't. But no games, no TV, nothing. We did hanging out. We went to the Cowboys game and.
Shit.
But the outdoor area is so dope, and the big TV that, you know, my son is obsessed with football. So he said, I could watch TV out here, play on my tablet. There's a jacuzzi over here, a water wall over here, a fireplace here. He says, yeah, you can just leave me here.
Why you ain't ever invite me over, bro?
Hey, man, we just finished the backyard. It has been like an 8-month extravaganza of
Lifestyles
bullshit.
of the rich and famous. Hey, it looked like
Rich
that.
and famous.
Honestly, it's frustrating because what I do for a living is construction. Mm-hmm. So when my own construction projects can't finish on time and I've cherry-picked the guys I have out there and stuff, and, like, you know, we get to these certain points, like, I mean, my guys are badass. I mean, but sometimes it takes longer than you expect. And, you know, I would think I would understand that and know that at this point, but, like,
Shout out to Alex Baptista.
Yeah.
It took like 12 years to build a pool.
12 years to build a pool. Yeah, I didn't have that. My remodel on my house almost took that damn long, and that was a whole nother debacle. But, yeah, there's going to be some things coming up.
The new house?
Yeah, the new house. So, yeah, we moved. We were in Savannah for a while, and then we bought a house over in Plano, and we've been slowly putting it together. And now, as soon as my wife picks out some outdoor furniture, there's going to be some get-togethers outside at the house so that people can actually come over and smoke cigars. There's no way in hell my wife is letting anybody smoke a cigar inside. And that's the best place to like actually do a show. But my show's based on us sitting down, smoking a cigar, having some drinks. So it just doesn't work yet. But we're probably going to move the show to like Wednesdays next year. And that way we don't have to conflict with Cigar Talk Live. And we're probably going to do some remote podcasts. I did one at a hotel earlier this year with a good friend of mine when I was on a golf trip. That was kind of like a little test run to see how it went outside of ICC, doing it here where you guys are used to this production of what you get here. But next year, we're going to change that up a little bit. We got some sponsorship stuff in the works. Biz and I are working hard to make this even better for 2023. So
For shizzle.
yeah. And again, one of the reasons why, I mean, this is episode 12. This is what we agreed to start out and see how this thing went. But
I ain't even gonna lie, bro. Episode 12.
Episode 12.
Episode 12.
Episode 12, right?
I'm on
now.
episode 12.
You're on episode 12.
I'm mad at you, bro. Mad at you, bro.
This was supposed to be the season ender, but we're going to go 2 more episodes.
And then you ain't even got me as a season end. When I do things, Cowboy Sweets, yada, 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 I'm like, Garrett, you're one of the first, bro. Do you want to come?
Did I charge you to be on here?
I'm episode 12.
Did I charge you to be on here?
Episode 12.
I've paid to be at every one of those events.
No comment.
He got you.
Yeah.
I'm about to say he got
let's
you
make
there.
it real right
he
now.
got you there.
I was gonna say because
No bueno.
But I did want to make sure because I do.
But you still were the first.
Yeah, I was one of the first to
But
jump
that,
on.
regardless of the price, that was still a dope experience. You know what I'm saying? Like,
It was a great experience. Like I'm again. How I started the show, telling you like y'all need to look up Bourbon Connection. Y'all need to follow it. You need to like it. Y'all need to be a part of it. You should engage in the new thing he's doing because I'm telling you, that's where, I mean, like outside of my circle and what I do, that's another part of my circle. Like I go and break bread with my boy Rodney and I do things with Rodney. I support Rodney in anything and everything he does because I believe in what he does. I know what kind of person Rodney is, and I know what he's putting out there.
he's trying to make me cry.
Yeah, I'm trying. I'm going to try real hard.
It ain't gonna work,
Hallmark
though.
moment.
It ain't gonna work.
But in all seriousness, like, I mean, like, what Rodney's doing and, like, the genuine of the people you meet, like, I mean, if you're willing to put yourself out there and you're willing to talk to people and you're willing to, like, take the time to be a part of things, it's a big world. And, there's a lot of stuff out there that you can be a part of and, like, make great connections. You never know what door might open. I mean, I've sat at events with Rodney and gone around and had conversation. Even when I was still trying to really, like, formulate and decide, was I going to do a podcast? Like, is this really what I wanted to do? Can I do this? Can I maintain this? Can I bring guests on consistently that people will really engage with and want to be, involved with and like learn more about their stories and everything that goes into this and like the production of this and the background and the research and the booking of the guests. Like this shit is a lot of work. Like as much fun as it is and and I love doing it, it's still a lot of work. Like it takes a lot of time away from my wife, my personal work, my business, everything. Like you have to commit to a certain level of certain things when you take on an endeavor like this. And
Most definitely.
I've sat around with people that like, as soon as I started talking about it with you at events, they're like, yo, I want to be on your podcast. And I'm like, for real? Like, and I was like, all right, I got to do this. Like, I've got people like coming out the woodworks over here. Like, yeah, I'm down. Like, Ken Hamlin, right out the gate was like, yeah, I'm down.
Has he been on?
No, he ain't been on yet. Ken Hamlin's schedule is something else. And it's football season.
I'll get him down here.
It's football season.
Well, as long as it's not a Saturday, you're good. But I'll get him on. But before you go on, man, kudos to everything that you're doing, fam. Like, I really do love what you're doing. I think you got something here. And I mean, I think this is going to be great. For you to be able to take the time to invest in this, to, be away from your kids and your wife, man. Like, this is, I understand the hustle, because I'm in the hustle. Yeah. So I understand it, man.
You, man.
And I got to give a shout out to Busy too, man. Busy's one of the hardest working brothers I know, man. And dude, this man is sick right now. Like, he looks like Will Smith and Hitch right now.
Yeah, for real.
Not actual Will Smith. Like, I'm talking about when he got allergic reaction. He is still here, tissues piled up, working hard. That is dedication, bro. Busy's one of the hardest working people on the planet, man.
Hey, man, I couldn't agree more. I was really blessed to become friends with Biz and to be able to share my ideas and my vision for what I want to do. And that is why Biz is a part of what I do, because there's not somebody
y'all gonna make me cry.
That is not somebody I value more in what I'm doing right now than, having Biz not only as a friend, but a producer of my show. And, that's one of the best, it's one of the best early decisions I made was making sure Biz had a mic. Biz having a mic and being able to help and interject and add his own side of this. Like, Biz is phenomenal at his craft. Like, if
not just podcasts either, bro.
Yeah, I mean, not just podcasts. Like, Biz is an amazing photographer. Like, I mean, y'all make fun of me about my glamour shots and shit that I've gotten asked to do and stuff. That's Biz. Like, Biz can even make my raggedy ass look good in a picture. I mean, that's the truth. Don't be hating on me.
Make you look a little different, but I don't know about better.
He made you look taller today.
All right, so James Baldwin said, ask G about the house furniture.
Hold on. He tries to see. He don't like taking compliments.
Yeah, I'm trying to do my job.
He ain't answered one question tonight.
Do my job right now. I'm going to the comments section. So
hold on, before you answer that, I also got to give a shout out to man. Like, man, listen here. I got to finish this. Yeah. Like, this dude is literally one of the. And I don't want to have to prolong this, but like, seriously, people don't give people recognition of their flowers until they're dead or something happens. Like, this dude, every time I see him, he's out and about doing something. Like, the dude doesn't stop. And I mean, dude, you're truly an inspiration to some of the stuff that I do. You know what I mean? Like, I think about
I was gonna say that about you, bro.
Like, real talk, man. Bro, I talk about you to everybody. Like, 550 group.
Yeah, literally, I was just with him yesterday. I just did a shoot for Charles yesterday.
Bro. Real talk. Your work is dope, man.
Around, it moves. But that's the one thing I'll say, and it goes back to one of our first podcasts. Moving here, the networking, the true friendships. I've never lived anywhere else that you can sit down, have a cup of coffee with somebody, and by the end of that conversation, y'all making moves or making money or something.
Man, yeah. I mean, the connections are real, man, and the people have real conversations in these groups that I'm talking about. Like, I've promoted the shit out of everything that I felt like has helped me along the way, whether that's, ICC, Cigars and Guns, Someone Say Whiskey, all the other groups, Rodney. I mean, it means the world to me. I mean, we don't, this isn't just about business either. We break bread together. I mean,
true
we
friendships.
send each other text messages hey, what's up, man? You good? Hey, I saw you post about this. Are you good? You need my help? Is there anything I can do to help you? Is there something we can do to move along? What can I do to add value? And I think that's the thing a lot of people miss is adding value. You can participate without adding any value. And, just participating or making some post because you're going to get 1,000 comments on it. I'm not about that. I am not going to be that person just to be a top contributor and post some bullshit that I half-ass believe in or that I think is going to be the hottest little thing or ask you some dumb question just to get engagement. I've never been about that. That's not my cup of tea, but finding a way to add value in your life, in any aspect of your life, is always going to serve you well.
Speaking of adding value, before you answer the question, man, how about them Frakes, man? Think about the value they've added here. I mean, if it wasn't for them, we might not have never met.
This group of people would probably not be sitting here today if it wasn't for the Frakes.
Yeah.
And the culture and the family vibe that they've created with this cigar lounge.
Yeah.
I've said that 1,000 times on these shows. Like, and I implore all of you to like come by, check it out. I mean, it might even be a little bit out of your way. Even when this was out of the way for me.
They do ship cigars, so you can order online.
Yeah, you can support them online and stuff like that, but I don't think you get the true value unless you come and hang out in the lounge.
I'm just referring to the people that just aren't here. Like, everybody can't make it here. You know, so like, they do ship.
But when you come here, though, you will become a true connoisseur of a cigar.
100%.
It's not just a social club. It's not. I mean, it's all that, but you will actually understand, respect, and actually partake in cigars, and you'll understand why, even though it's the thing that brings us all together, it is something that you understand. You develop a palate. You understand why cigars, what are cigars, and you'll find your own path in it. But I did cigars just because everybody. Now I literally smoke 3 or 4 cigars a day, and I have a reason why I smoke certain ones with certain things at certain times.
I don't mean to change the subject, but I got a question on that, dude. How the hell do y'all smoke so many damn cigars? Like, bro, I can barely do 2.
But how much bourbon can you drink? I can drink half a glass.
I can't drink a lot of bourbon either, man. Like, I don't drink. Like, bro, I poured a little bit in this, and a little. I think
7,000 bottles at your house,
and they're damn near still full.
Yeah, they are.
Like, bro, I don't drink a lot. People
First
think
time
I
I went to his
club.
house, I went over there to pick something up, and I left drunk. I just went, hey man, let me grab the package. And 30, 40, 50 minutes later, I left out of his house calling the Uber.
That's one thing with Rodney, though. Like, I can say that, and that's in all honesty. Like, Rodney like the front man. Like, he like P. Diddy. He'll hype the shit out of it.
Take that.
Yeah. I mean, and he'll do it, but like Rodney will slow roll it, man. Like, Rodney is just chill. He like lays back, watches, observes, and he just ebbs and flows through the stuff. Like, I've never seen Rodney get twisted. Ever.
And I haven't either.
I mean, like,
but everybody else around him be on 12.
He'll get everybody else on level 12, but Rodney will maintain right where Rodney is in his lane. I've seen him one time.
Do you want to know why?
A little bit drunk, but like, that ain't saying much.
Man,
as many times I've sat and drank bottle shares.
You're never gonna see me drunk.
Like,
ever.
Like, Rodney just don't get down like that. And like, I've admired that, and I've tried to learn to pace myself and do those things like Rodney does, because like, Rodney can be the life of the party and still be there and hosting and making it happen, and he maintains this level of Rodney cool that just stays.
I went over
right
Rodney's
here.
house and had a drink of some kind of bourbon or something that came. It was the bottle,
That
and
Mitch's
it
Family
had
Reserve,
like
right? That's what he gave you.
it had blue jean overalls from a Cuban slave from like 1812,
He's talking about,
and it was up on the top
a 1969 Old Crow Travelers. No, 1959 Old Crow Traveler 5th. That was amazing.
That bottle literally looked like it came out of a James Cameron movie about pirates.
I hear you.
Bruh.
He's got all kinds of crazy shit. Man. And yeah, they'll give Rodney shit because Rodney famous thing in the groups is Rodney, they'll be like, oh, this pic's coming out. Rodney like, I want 2 bottles. And then when that shit comes out and it's really good, Rodney like, hey man, who got some extras? Cause this shit is dope. Rodney didn't want to spend the money on like more than 2. He took his bare minimum 2, but then all of a sudden like something else comes out and it's fire. Rodney calling all the other admins like, yo, hook me up. Who can give you this?
I'm cheap in real life. I'm surrounded by a bunch of ballers, man. Alex Baptiste, I know he hates when I say this, but he's rich. And
I'm rich, bitch.
I can't keep up with him. So yeah,
I bourbon is one thing. I'll stick to cars and cameras. The bourbon thing, I don't think I can afford to do what y'all do.
I had to get out. I couldn't do the wine game because
you did have a question. I don't want to forget my man's out there who's watching it, but you did have a question.
Oh yeah, the question was.
I'm gonna hit that real quick because we got to get off. We're already running past our time, and I got to ask you the question we end every show with. But James, just being a punk ass. We ordered all our furniture from one place. I ain't going to say their name because I ain't giving them any fucking credit at all. Like, at all. It was one of those things where it was like, okay, like, we can go here and everything should be good. And mind you, when we ordered our furniture, the great freeze happened right after that.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, not that distribution and manufacturing wasn't already messed up because of COVID. Then you added the freeze. So furniture is supposed to come in 3 months. It's been over a full calendar year.
You're still waiting on it?
And no, we've got everything now except for one piece of furniture. And every piece of furniture we've had in our house from this company has been replaced a minimum of 3 times. Like, so bad that they couldn't produce a quality dresser that they changed out our entire bedroom suite to a whole different product because they're like, sorry, this particular manufacturer that we work with is just not going to be able to live up to y'all standards. Like, we will, free of charge, pick something else out, we'll deliver it. And we wait another 3 months, and then here comes this. I mean, like, our dresser was replaced 12 times before they did that. We have 2 lamps in our living room. Like, that's the last little piece that, like, and my wife, like, and I don't blame her. Like, we pay good money for this stuff. Like, this is a very reputable company that, you know, like, when I was not making the type of money that I make now, I was like, I hope one day I can go in here and just pick out what I want. Like, legit. Like, I want this. I want to be able to do that. And I got to a point where I could do that. We did it. It was a sacrifice we made. And we were like, hey, even if we have to do room by room, we're going to just do it this way. We did it. And it's been hell. Like, literally, it's now 16 months in. And we're still waiting on the last 2 pieces of furniture to be replaced because they can't deliver something that ain't wonky.
Well, on that happy note, I guess we got to go ahead and get Rodney these 2 cents because I'm depressed now.
All right, Rodney. This is how we end every show.
Busy trying to go get in bed.
Not that Rodney's watched any of my shows, so he ain't prepared for this.
I actually have, brother.
He's prepared for this now. So what do we end this with?
I don't know.
That's twice. 2-0 Garrett. Anyways, we end every show.
I didn't say I watched the whole show.
All right. Well, you didn't watch the end. However we want to do that. Anyways, what we end every show with is we ask every guest to give us their 2 cents. It can be your 2 cents about anything that is provoked by the show, something that's been on your mind, something you ain't had a chance to say, something you want to say, something you were inspired to say, something that just came to your mind. It doesn't really matter. All of these so far have ended up in things that, like, probably going to be an entire another episode, but it's time for you to give us your 2 cents.
This guy put me on the spot. Okay.
Yep.
I know Busy's tired, needs to take a nap, so I won't keep it too long. Man, pursue your dreams. Do whatever you think that you can, because it can happen. I would have never, ever imagined I'd be doing what I'm doing now. And the key to that is to really just have a goal, know what you want to do, write it down, look at it every day, grind every day, and be persistent, be consistent, and have discipline. And I mean, you'd be surprised of the things you can achieve. Keep it simple.
That's awesome. I'm going to ask you one more question while we're cutting this off, and then we're going to end the show right here. You have 3 beautiful little children. Mm-hmm. If you could only give them one piece of advice, like this is like your last chance, give them one piece of advice. What piece of advice would you give your children right now?
It would probably be to be your own boss. You want to explain that? Or
You can if you want to. I mean, if you feel like it needs more explanation.
I come from a family that never really achieved anything. I can't think of anybody successful in my family outside of my dad. You know what I mean? But he's, military. But everybody, I mean, like, you got to have workers. But we don't have enough entrepreneurs. I mean, some people may say we do, but I enjoy the ability of being able to wake up and plan my whole day. There's nothing like the freedom of doing that. And even though I have a job by someone else, I got this job because of the relationships that I have. I searched for a job that would allow me to give 50% of my time and efforts, work smarter, not harder, to be able to do the things that's going to create generational wealth for my family. So for the advice for my kids is, if there's something that you want to go out and do, go be your own boss. You know, you can achieve things. You can set your own time. You can set your own schedule. You don't have to worry about being fired from anything. Just go attack your dreams. It's attainable.
That's awesome. I knew we had to get that in here. But hey, man, I love you, brother. I appreciate you greatly. Thank you for breaking away from all your other stuff and coming and being on the show.
My guy.
Y'all, until next time, enjoy it. Be merry. Have a good time. And we'll see you next week. And we will be on at 6 next week.
For sure.
Just so you know.